The narrative of Clannad tells the tale of Tomoya Okazaki, whose contempt for life is challenged by a fortuitous meeting with Nagisa Furukawa. This encounter culminates in a series of initiatives to revive the school's theater club, and imparts lessons on what matters most in life. From what I can remember, I used to watch this back when I was still in high school. I binge-watched all the episodes, including the sequel, Clannad After Story. Although the animation isn't as polished compared to modern anime titles, it's one of those anime that just doesn't hold back. And this, my viewers, will be a recap of the anime Clannad. So grab your snacks, coffee or tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy this recap. Tomoya Okazaki, a third-year high schooler with a rebellious streak, is yearning for a fresh start. One day, on his way to Hirazaka High School, he encounters an intriguing girl, Nagisa Furukawa, chatting to herself on a hill. As the day unfolds, Tomoya crosses paths with several dynamic female classmates, including the spirited Kyo Fujibayashi and her gentle sister Ryo Fujibayashi, each leaving a memorable impression. During lunch, Tomoya and Nagisa strike up a conversation, and he learns about her struggle with illness that forced her to repeat her final year. Despite the setback, Nagisa's dream of reviving the now disbanded theater club shines brightly. And the day takes an exciting turn when they witness a fearless female transfer student single-handedly taking down two motorcyclists, causing trouble. After school, Tomoya visits Nagisa's quirky yet warm-hearted parents, Akio and Sanae Furukawa, at their delightful family bakery. Their lively personalities and welcoming nature led to an invitation to join them for supper. When Nagisa says she wants to revive the theater club again, Tomoya assists her in making recruitment posters that they will display all around the school and include the large mascot of the Dango family. That day at school, Tomoya meets two other girls, Kotome Ichinose, a peculiar genius with whom he finds difficult to get attention from, and Fuko Ibuki, a first-year student who he discovers alone in a classroom crafting a star out of wood. When she injures her hand while using her knife by mistake, Tomoya seizes the knife. When Nagisa learns later in that day that Tomoya used to play basketball, he extended an invitation for a game the following day. But the next day it rains, so Tomoya and his former soccer buddy Yohei Sunohara decide to stay at the hostel instead of going to school. Tomoya chooses to go out because he is afraid that Nagisa could be outside in the rain because she invited her to basketball. It is disclosed there that Tomoya's father, Naoyuki Okazaki, hurt his shoulder during a fight, rendering him unable to play basketball. In the downpour, Nagisa passes out, while expressing her remorse. When Tomoya checks in on Nagisa after the previous night's events, he learns she's been dealing with physical weakness her whole life. As he heads back from the bakery, he unexpectedly helps out Yusuke Yoshino, a quirky electrician who gratefully introduces himself. Later, it turns out Yusuke's real name is Yohei, and he reveals he used to be a professional musician. The next day, after a chat with Tomoya, Nagisa returns to school, and Tomoya gives Fuko her knife back. On their way, they stumble upon a cute baby boar named Botan, who is actually Kyo's adorable pet. After school, Tomoya and Nagisa meet with Yukine Miyazawa, a second-year student who manages the library's reference room. Tomoya, in a fun twist, pretends to be a new member of the theater club, asking questions to boost Nagisa's confidence for the group. The day is filled with unexpected encounters and budding friendships, making everything feel vibrant and exciting. When Tomoya sees Fuko at school again, she attempts to ask him about her elder sister's impending wedding, but Tomoya declines. Tomoya uses bread from Nagisa's family bakery as a bribe to persuade Yohei to assist in reforming the theater club. In an attempt to revive the said club, Nagisa enlists the aid of Kyo and her sister Ryo. Tomoya even goes so far as to approach Tomoyo Sakagami and Kotomi about joining. Tomoyo is competing for student council president, and Kotomi doesn't answer. Later, Tomoya and Nagisa visit Fuko regarding the club, and it is via Nagisa that he learns that Fuko is actually the younger sister of Koyoko Ibuki, Nagisa's art instructor, and that Fuko is apparently comatose in a hospital following a car accident. Tomoya and Nagisa were thrilled as they set out to meet Koyoko. Determined to help the spirited astral Fuko, they warmly welcomed her into Nagisa's home and temporarily paused her theater club activities. The house buzzed with excitement as Nagisa's family enthusiastically carved more wooden starfish, with Tomoya, Nagisa, and Fuko's friend, Mitsue, joining in to distribute them to their schoolmates. Fuko's long-held dream of attending classes finally seemed within reach. To make her first high school experience unforgettable, Tomoya orchestrated a lively scene with Yohei, Kyo, and Ryo playing the roles of classmates. Even Sanae joined the fun, stepping in as the teacher. Koyoko is thrilled to receive an invitation to the Founders Festival from Tomoya and Nagisa right after Golden Week, especially when she discovers that her fiancé is none other than Yusuke Yoshino. Meanwhile, Fuko is spreading joy by handing out her charming carved starfish to festival goers, and her enthusiastic fan club is busy announcing Koyoko's upcoming wedding. In a burst of energy, he sends Yohei flying out of a window for pestering a girl. In the midst of all this excitement, Tomoya, on a mission to find mischief makers in a bear suit, meets Nagisa and Tomoya. As the festival buzzes with activity, Koyoko finally spots Tomoya and Nagisa. Unfortunately, she can't see or hear her sister, even when she is standing right next to them. Despite Fuko's illness, Tomoya and Nagisa persuade Koyoko that Fuko would still want her to wed Yusuke. When they learn that Koyoko wants to get married on the school grounds, they speak with the school's administration. Afterwards, Koyoko lets them know that Fuko's condition has gotten worse, and that it's possible she won't come out of her coma. When Tomoya and Yohei meet at the dorm, he tells Yohei about what he saw earlier in class. Some students are unable to see Fuko, while others are starting to lose memory of her and the gifts she gave them. Fewer and fewer students have the opportunity to see Fuko anymore, and even those who were close to her in the past are starting to forget about her. After visiting her in the hospital, Yohei forgets first, then Kyo and Ryo. But with Tomoya's assistance, Tomoya is able to remember. Subsequently, Yohei briefly recalls Fuko before losing consciousness. To try and lift Fuko's spirits up, Tomoya and Nagisa purchase a birthday party set for her. Returning to the bakery, they find that Fuko has been forgotten by Akio, and although Sanae has not entirely forgotten, she is no longer able to see her. For the time being, Tomoya and Nagisa decide to send Fuko back to school. As they grow closer, Tomoya and Nagisa and Fuko spend a joyful night at school, celebrating Koyoko's upcoming marriage. The following morning, Tomoya and Nagisa notice that Fuko is nowhere to be seen, and realize they have forgotten about her. However, their paths cross with Fuko once more, and memories of Koyoko's wedding flood back to Tomoya and Nagisa, accompanied by a sense of something wonderful they had overlooked. Initially, only Tomoya, Nagisa, and Fuko arrive for the wedding, but as the ceremony unfolds, it becomes clear that everyone who received Fuko's starfish has also come to celebrate. With hearts full of joy, the entire crowd cheers as Yusuke and Koyoko walk across the campus, embraced with the warmth and support of everyone around them. After thanking Tomoya and Nagisa and congratulating her older sister, Fuko eventually vanishes. There is still a persistent rumor at school about a cute girl who is always running around the campus. Tomoya thinks Fuko will wake up eventually. Since no new members have joined the theater club, Tomoya goes to talk with Kotomi once again about joining. Tomoya shows her around the campus and assists her in introducing herself to others in order to increase her friend base. Following a round of introductions, Tomoya brings Kyo, Ryo, and Kotomi to the theater room after school and invites them to join the club. At first, Kyo declines the invitation, but eventually gives in when her sister expresses her desire to join, and Kotomi also does. Kotomi abruptly leaves the meeting because she hears someone in a nearby club room playing the violin. However, the person playing is dreadfully awful when given the opportunity to play it. Kotomi is still trying to play the violin, but has not improved at all. In short, her playing is painful to anyone listening. It dawns on Kyo that Kotomi should practice, since she will be performing at her first violin recital in 2 days after school. Tomoya stops by Kotomi in the school library, the day before the recital, and enjoys some of her delectable homemade apple pie. Soon afterward, Tomoya nods off and experiences an unusual dream. During the recital, the landlady of Yohei's dorm, along with Akio, Sanae, and Misae Sagara, attended. Kyo uses her role as a class representative as a leverage to coerce a number of students into attending. Ultimately, Kotomi showed no improvement at all, and listening to the recital was still excruciating. Kotomi is approached by an unfamiliar man as she and her friends head home, but the man quickly leaves. His reputation as a bad man made Kotomi very afraid of him. After giving Ri Nishina her violin back, Kotomi befriends her. Kotomi starts going to her lessons and alters her daily schedule. Tomoya, Nagisa, Kotomi, and Ryo are invited by Kyo to go out and enjoy a fun-filled local carnival as a group. Fuku appears as they are at a claw crane, but nobody seems to recognize her. The following day, Nagisa comes up to Kyo believing Ryo was in a bus accident. When they go to the scene, they discover that no one was harmed. However, when Kotomi observes the accident, she has an emotional breakdown and falls while sobbing. And that day, Kotomi leaves early. But when Tomoya, Nagisa, Kyo, and Ryo visit her later, her house is unanswered. Following their departure, Tomoya returns and encounters the odd guy from before, learning that he is a friend of Kotomi's parents. When Tomoya finally breaks into Kotomi's residence, she is in a room with newspaper articles about her parents' deaths hanging on the wall. At that point, Tomoya at last recalls that he was a little boy when he first encountered Kotomi. Though only she had remembered up until now, Tomoya realizes that he had met Kotomi when they were children. Kotomi's only friend at the time was Tomoya, who had visited her frequently. On Kotomi's birthday, around this time, her parents unexpectedly have to depart for a business trip. Subsequently, Kotomi receives a visit from the gentleman, who happened to be her parents' friend, informing her that they have passed away in an aircraft accident. In the end, Kotomi burns her father's significant thesis about finding quote-unquote another world before anyone can potentially see it. Tomoya stops visiting her home after that, and Kotomi commits herself to following in her parents' footsteps. Before Kotomi's birthday, Tomoya visits and begins tidying up the overgrown garden while Kotomi isolates herself in her home. Eventually, Nagisa, Kyo, and Ryo also lend a hand. Kotomi is ultimately pleased with everyone's kindness. When Kotomi eventually leaves the house, he discovers that Tomoya has spent the entire night working in the garden and has fallen asleep. Tomoya, Nagisa, Kyo, and Ryo are waiting for her when she gets back to school. And there's the enigmatic man she was so afraid of, thinking he was going to steal her parents' thesis. It is revealed to Kotomi and her friends that he is her legal guardian and that there were never any additional copy notes for the thesis. It turned out that the envelope Kotomi burned and felt awful about it was a catalog for teddy bears. Her parents' suitcase, which survived the plane crash, was passed from hand to hand across the globe for years before he found it, is another birthday present from the gentleman. A teddy bear, a heartfelt letter from Kotomi to her parents, and her request for a gift before they left are all inside. As Kotomi holds the teddy bear, she finally comes to terms with her parents' passing as the room fills with glowing orbs. In an attempt to assist Nagisa in reforming the theater club, her friends offer their names in order to meet the requirements for membership. However, they still require an advisor for the club, so they approach Toshio Koyomura for help. However, Nagisa goes to speak with Rie about which club Koyomura should advise because he is already supposed to be the advisor for the choir club. The following day, Yohei discovers that Ria's friend Sugisaka was the one who left the menacing letter on Nagisa's desk. Yohei and Kyo are not pleased with Nagisa's decision to give up on the theater club's reform after discussing Ria's past with her. Tomoya and Yohei visit Yukine to pass the time during class, and Yukine shares with Yohei a basketball-related idea. Later on, Tomoyo gets pushed to join the judo club by two of its captains. Even though Fuko doesn't offer much assistance, Tomoya is still able to escape the captains by taking Tomoyo with him. Yohei tries to talk Tomoya and Nagisa into playing a basketball game the following day in an attempt to persuade the choir club to change their minds, but Tomoya keeps turning him down. Tomoya and Nagisa meets Mei Sunohara, Yohei's younger sister, after school. When Mei arrives, she cleans her brother's dirty room. However, Misai tells her that she is not allowed to stay in Yohei's all-boys dorm, so Nagisa offers to host her while she is in town. Kyo is readily persuaded to assist with the basketball game by Tomoya and Yohei, and she becomes excited after hearing a remark about being paired with such losers. To watch the game, they invite the choir club over. When the basketball team switches with their starters, the scores even out. Tomoya and the others play against first-year rookies and led by 11 points for half of the game. Thanks to Nagisa's voice, Tomoya wins the game in the final seconds of play by making the game-winning shot. Mei then returns to her hometown. The student council forbids the choir club from sharing Koyomura with the theater club after they watch the basketball game. After collapsing at school, Nagisa misses a few days of work. Subsequently, Tomoya thinks she can arrange the revival of the theater club if she is elected president of the student council. In order to avoid being late for class, Tomoyo begins waking up Tomoya and Yohei during this time. Kyo keeps arranging for Tomoya and Ryo to be together in activities like having lunch together. In an attempt to assist Tomoya with a grimoire, Yukine casts a spell that ultimately results in him and Kyo being locked in the gym equipment room. When Kyo enters the room, she does not behave like she usually does, leading her to believe that Tomoya might try to have sexual advances with her. After Tomoya breaks the spell, one of Kyo's classmates opens the door. After school, Tomoya and Tomoyo set out to walk home when they saw a group of gang members waiting to fight Tomoyo at the school's entrance. Fuko breaks up the fight for a little while. Teachers from the school intervene to break up the fight after it starts, and Tomoya takes responsibility in order to shield Tomoyo. As a result, she is suspended. Tomoyo continues to visit Tomoya at home, wake him up, and prepare him breakfast while he is on a school suspension. However, he remains silent when she tries to question him about his relationship with Naoyuki. When Tomoyo is preparing his lunch on Sunday, Kotomi, Kyo, and Ryo shows up, each bringing up a large amount of food, and even Fuko shows up with food. Tomoya consumes it all. Upon returning to school, he discovers that Tomoyo's standing is diminishing as a result of false allegations that she leads a gang. To salvage her reputation, he sets up a competition between Tomoyo and multiple school sports teams. Tomoyo tells Tomoya after school about her family's predicament, including how her brother put his life in danger to prevent their parents from divorce and her wish to preserve the cherry blossom trees. When Nagisa eventually returns to school, her friends greet her with open arms. When a stray ball strikes Nagisa in the leg during a tennis match between Tomoyo and a male member of the tennis club, Tomoya overprotects her, demonstrating to everyone how committed he is to her. When Tomoyo discovers that Tomoya is in love with Nagisa, Kyo and Ryo start crying. In the end, Tomoyo is elected president of the student council. Thanks to Tomoyo, the theater club is eventually resurrected and Koyomura is shared with the choir club. When Tomoya's homeroom teacher visits Naoyuki to inquire about his son's future, Naoyuki responds that Tomoya must make his own decisions. Tomoya accepts Nagisa's offer to spend the night at her house while she observes Tomoya and Naoyuki being who they are. Tomoya discovers several young children in Nagisa's home after returning from school, and she discovers Sanae is teaching them in a cram school. Nagisa confides in Tomoya that she believes she has done her parents harm in the past, but she can't recall the specifics, and her parents tell her she must be hallucinating. Tomoya tries questioning Nagisa's parents and Yukine about the story, which seems familiar to him. After hearing her discuss the quote-unquote girl in the illusionary world for the play she wants to perform. However, they are unaware of any story similar to that, and Fuko shows up out of the blue. Following his discovery of Tomoya and Nagisa in the shed, Akio tells them to go, then pulls Tomoya aside to discuss what previously transpired. 10 years ago in a snowy day, Nagisa had a high fever. Her parents had to leave her alone for a few hours, because they had to go to work. Nagisa was waiting for them to return and was found collapsed outside when Akio got back. Both of Nagisa's parents gave up their careers and aspirations in order to protect her, after she became dangerously close to death. Since he does not want the story to come up again, Akio instructs Tomoya not to share it with Sanae or Nagisa. When Tomoya goes on a picnic with Nagisa's family during a baseball game with some neighborhood young boys, Nagisa unintentionally makes an indirect declaration of love to Tomoya. Nagisa and her friends are still rehearsing for the play, practicing things like tongue twisters, picking out music, lighting, and stage direction. In addition to being the first play Nagisa had ever seen, Akio rents a play on video, and she finds it to be incredibly moving. Despite their best efforts, Tomoya and Akio are unable to locate the play's script, which Nagisa is scheduled to perform in the shed. The day before the school festival starts, the theater club practices, and everything goes smoothly. Nagisa searches the shed the night before the school festival for a flashlight, but instead she stumbles across some boxes and finds old pictures and diaries of her parents. After learning of her parents' hidden past, Nagisa gets emotional and depressed, because she can't stop thinking about how she dashed their hopes. The entire theater club notices that Nagisa is not herself on the day of the school festival, and they attempt but are unable to lift her spirits. As soon as the play begins, Nagisa breaks down. However, Tomoya comforts her. Akio also encourages Nagisa, saying that it is his and Sanae's dream for her to realize her dream, and the play about the girl in the illusionary world was a great success. In the club room the following day, as the sun is setting, Tomoya finally confesses his love to Nagisa. Nagisa is shocked by this and bursts into happy tears. It's summer vacation now, and even though Tomoya and Nagisa have been dating for weeks, their friends are surprised that they still feel a lot of anxiety about their relationship and haven't made much progress. Mei pays another visit and lends a hand in the bakery. Mei resolves to be Tomoya and Nagisa's personal love ninja in order to move their relationship forward, after finding out about its current state of stagnation. Even though it can be extremely embarrassing for Nagisa at times, Mei comes up with a whole plan that she tries to follow. Mei flees after Tomoya calls her out, but Nagisa stops Tomoya from pursuing. Finally, holding hands, Tomoya and Nagisa go for a walk together as the day is coming to an end. Now that ends the story of Clannad. If this anime has taught me anything, it's that despite everything in your power to fix things, you can only do so much. Some things are inevitable, but life goes on. And yes, some people find it sad to the point they start crying. But in my personal opinion, Clannad After Story is the heart-wrenching story compared to what I considered earlier as its baseline, Clannad. Clannad After Story continues the story of Tomoya and Nagisa, but we'll save it for another time. I do apologize if you heard any loud background noises, and it can't be helped since I'm recording in the mornings. But if you've enjoyed the video, please give us a like and subscribe for more anime content. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to get the latest updates, and that's it for me. See you on the next one. Goodbye!